Hello, welcome to ATI 4205. After addressing the location and the layout strategies, this session will address warehouse operations, which is the group of processes, activities, and tasks required to store and fulfill customer needs, utilizing space, equipment, and labor effectively. Warehouse operations puts away and retrieve goods through accessible storage methods, providing the required protection and fulfilling customer demand. Some of the common operations will be discussed and the reorder point will be explained. Warehouse operations is that part of the logistics system that involves receiving, putting away, storing, retrieval, picking, packing, and shipping of goods from a physical site. These operations will differ from one organization to another based on the industry, the company's business model, and the company's strategy. In other words, warehouse operations will be driven by products type and distribution inventory management strategy. This slide list some examples of different industries and different business models that will affect warehouse operations. For example, a retail warehouse will be differently or will definitely be different from a manufacturer warehouse, which will be also different from agriculture, the importer-exporter business. Different types of inventory and operation models influence how warehouse operations are executed. Example of types of inventory are the raw material. When you have raw material, it would be different than the components of some sub-assemblies of an item. And then we have work in process, we have finished goods, we have distribution inventory, we have accessories, spare parts, maintenance, repair, and operations supplies. So for operating models, you can design the warehouse operations to build items to stock. It depends on what kind of warehouse do you have, and if you have, for example, the components and sub-assemblies, then you can assemble and you can build based on orders. You can assemble to order or assemble or engineer to order. It could be designed to deliver items just in time, since they are in a certain place, certain area, then they can fulfill the demand based on that area and just get items just in time for the customer. And it can be designed where vendor will be managing their own inventory within the warehouse. Instead of you having workers doing that, you can let the vendor manage the inventory and make sure that their item on the shelf in that warehouse or in that retail store. And we'll talk about that later on, about some of the actions that have been taken by Walmart or other retailers, where they had their shelves managed by the vendor, and the vendor will come to the shelf and make sure that their item on the shelf. If not, they will stack it. So they are managing the inventory in the retail store. No matter what type of industry, product, or business model, warehousing operations involve three major activities: the inbound, the processing, and the outbound activities. So if you look at any warehouse operations, it has to have those kind of major operations. So you have to receive the item, you have to put away the item, store them, build them, assemble, whatever the process is, pick items from the shelf, pack items, and then ship them out. Those are the main or major warehouse operations in most industries and most warehouses. The inbound activities will include receiving activities involving the transfer of ownership of goods, which by its nature involves inspecting the item and ensuring the accuracy of the financial transaction and associated documents. You want to make sure that the slip that came with the item or the invoice that came with the item matches what was ordered. The received item will be put away and stored in the warehouse in an organized and documented process as part of the internal warehouse logistics. In most companies, receiving activities will include unloading, counting, inspecting, and identifying, then categorizing and registering the item that came in or arrived or received into the system. The unloading and counting activities will ensure that the number of containers or packages matches carrier's order or manifest, and to ensure that the right order has been delivered. The unloading could be manual or could be automated, as you can see in the pictures here. The received containers or packages will be unpacked and inspected to identify any lost, expired, or damaged material and to make sure that the correct items have been received. Items will be grouped or categorized using numbers, letters, colors, product code, product key, weight, size, cost, or a combination of more than one of these categories. The received items will be registered into the warehouse system either manually, which means that a person will be entering the information through a tablet or a machine, or automated through using scanners or RFIDs, and we'll talk about the RFIDs later on. The categorization process will assist in identifying the location of the item on the shelf. You can see that we use the numbers, we use the letters, we use SKU number, which is the barcode that came with the item, to exactly specify the location of that item on the shelf. That will assist us not only in putting away the item to store it, but also on the way of picking up or picking the picking process of that item from the shelf to be shipped. Items can be put away or stacked on the shelf by pallet. If I'm not concerned about taking it apart, so I can take the whole pallet and stack it on the shelf. So those are pallets. You can do it by boxes. I can store the box, or I can do it by item. So I can do it by item. So it depends on what way I would like to store it, to put it away, to store it on the shelf. That will be the way that it's going to be stored: pallets, boxes, or items. The process activities might include reprocessing, assembly, and or repacking, but the main activities in most warehouses facilities are the picking, replenishment, and stock rotation. So we can do reprocessing for the item. We can do assembly, where we have parts and we put the parts together to assemble, and then we have an item that's been assembled. In these cases, when we are building or assembling, we can actually split the warehouse into two areas: one for the parts that is needed to assemble, and one for the parts that's been assembled or for the items that's been assembled already, and to the packing or repacking area and shipping. But again, you need to pick those items from the shelf. So we need to look at the order picking, the replenishment of parts, and the stock rotation. Order picking is the process of pulling items from inventory to fill a customer order. It's the most labor-intensive activity within the warehouse. Remember that the person who's picking the item might be going through the shelves and making sure that they are picking the item. Now, can we do it differently? We will talk about that, which is some of the common picking activities. We have zone picking, we have patch picking, we have wave picking. We have additional methods that will be explained at a later module or later chapter, but to give you an idea, in zone picking, each order picker is assigned a specific zone and will only realize order picking within this zone or that zone for them that's been assigned for them. While for the batch picking, an order picker is assigned and picks batch orders. In wave picking, the picker will be doing a variation of zone and batch picking at the same time, rather than orders moving from one zone to the next. For picking, all zones are picked at the same time and the items are later sorted and consolidated into individual order or orders shipments. It could be orders or shipments. Scheduling picking session that will be allow or that will allow assignment of orders into waves by date. We can do it by date. We can do by shipping carrier. We can do by high priority carriers or by any other parameter. So we can schedule the picking for the wave based on whatever category that or whatever schedule I would like to select, by store, by shipping carrier, or by the priority. Replenishment. What does it mean, replenishment? It's the movement of inventory from upstream to downstream, or in other words, in simple words, it's the process of refilling the storage area with the required items to keep the stock at a certain level. We need to keep things on the shelf. We need to keep things on the shelf. The purpose of replenishment is to keep inventory flowing through the supply chain by maintaining efficient order. The process prevents costly inventory overstocking or understocking. You don't want to have a lot of items on the shelf that will not go. At the same time, you don't want to have understocking where you are missing lots of items on the shelf, and that will drive customers away. So you need to have the ability to fulfill customer demand when needed. You don't need too much. You don't need understocking, but you need to have the right amount where you can satisfy customer needs. To replenish, we need to know at what point to order. The reordering point is the level of inventory which triggers an action to replenish that inventory stock. That level of stock is called safety stock. So I can keep certain amount of inventory, certain number of items in the inventory. That will be a level where I can call it the safety stock. At that point, when it reaches that point to the safety stock, then at that point I need to reorder. So what we mean here by this level or safety stock level is that we should not go below that safety stock level. The reorder point will equal the lead time multiplied by the demand per unit of time plus the safety stock, and this is how we know that this is the order point. That will also define the quantity that should be ordered to replenish. Calculating the reorder quantity will be discussed at a later module or chapter, where we will count, actually we will know what will be the quantity Q that we need to order so we can replenish the inventory. To calculate the average daily unit sales, we divide the total sales per quarter by total number of days. In this example, so we are going through an example to understand the concept more. The total sales is 450. Looking at October, November, and December, we have 125, 177, 148. So we add those numbers and we have 450. The total number of days is 90 days. So we have 3 months. We'll assume that every month is 30 days. Forget about the 31 days. Just assume that it's 30 days and you will have 90 days. Based on that, the average daily sales will be around 5 units per day. So 450 divided by 90, that's 5 units a day. Looking at the delivery time for the monthly orders, we can calculate the average delivery lead time, which will be a total of delivery time periods in a quarter divided by the number of orders in the same quarter. In this example, it will be 15, which is the 7, 5, and 3. This is 15. It sums to 15, divided by 3. Those are the number of orders that's been ordered. And that will give us 5 days lead time on average. 5 days lead time on average. The safety stock is an additional quantity of an item held in inventory in order to reduce the risk that the item will be out of stock. Always we have a safety stock in case that we have a need or an increase in demand for some reason, like for a hurricane, a pandemic, or an earthquake, or anything that will affect the area, any external factor, then we will have a safety stock, which is the additional quantity, the buffer, that will assist me in fulfilling the demand. So the safety stock acts as a buffer in case the sales of an item are greater than planned and or the supplier is unable to deliver additional units at the expected time. Although it can be estimated, the final decision will be up to the upper management if the safety stock will be a certain amount or we can increase it a little bit. For example, in our case here, the average sales is 5 and the worst case scenario of lead time is 7. Then safety stock can be 5 times 7, which is equal to 35 units. Again, it's up to the management to keep it at 35 or to increase it to like 40 or to make it just at the 35 unit. So based on the formula, the reorder point is equal to the average daily unit sales multiplied by delivery lead time plus safety stock, which is 5 times 5 plus the 35, and that is equal to 60 units. So our reorder point should be when we have only 60 units in stock. Once I reach to 60 units in stock, I need to reorder. How many or how much do I need to reorder? That's what we are going to learn at a later chapter. But for now, once I see 60 in inventory, then I need to reorder. That could be automated through inventory management system or an ERP system, but also it can be done manually, and I can monitor what we have in the system or the warehouse, and based on that I can trigger a reorder for the point. It can be automated, it can be done manually. To rotate stock means to arrange the oldest units in inventory so they are sold before the newer units. For example, a grocery store will restock its shelves by putting the oldest units in the front of the shelf. The newest will be placed in the back of the shelf. And you know, when you go to a retail store, you will find these items organized by the date. So the ones in the front are the oldest and the one in the back are the newest. The same applies in a warehouse or a distribution center where items will be stacked in a certain order to be picked up off the shelf based on certain strategy. Again, you can do it by date, you can do it by other means. It depends on the factors that you are going to use or the parameters that you are going to use to pick the item. It's important to rotate stock in all areas, retail display areas, warehouses, factories, any facility that we have items in, we need to rotate. The reason to rotate stock is to reduce the losses from expirations, if we have any expiration date for those items, or deterioration or obsolescence, especially for technology items. There are three different methods of stock rotation which can be selected by the management based on the company's strategy. The most used is the first in, first out strategy or method, which will avoid any expiration or obsolescence of that item. Another method is the last in, first out. Last in, first out. And that will be used because the cost of the last item in inventory will be more than the one that was there first. So to reduce the cost, we sell or pick the last item to arrive to the warehouse. This method is rarely used. Rarely used. A third method is to use the barcode or date of management or date of manufacturing system or manufacturer system. The barcode can be scanned and the item that was manufactured first will be out first. The problem that barcodes might fade or get damaged. In other cases, the barcode might have some sort of reflection when scanned or has writing on it. In a third case, it might be scanned in an improper reading position, like an angle or something. All these cases will lead to having expired or damaged item in stock because it was scanned wrong or it gave us the wrong number when scanned. The fourth method is using the RFID, which is this is the most common now technology that's been used in warehouses with the RFID inventory system. Items will have a radio frequency identification chips, and those are like small barcodes, small white strips that can be attached to the items, and you can see it in many electronic stores on the box that has that white strip on the side. You can see it also in clothing retail stores where they have that magnet that can read and it can scan the item in addition to the SKU number, so you can add it to that one if you want, to the magnet and the chip at the same time. And those are the newest technologies, innovation in inventory control. The RFID chips are tiny, they are microchips. They're embedded in a product that send out a signal so the product can be tracked. RFID chips offer real-time access to inventory data and solve many of the deficiencies of barcode inventory control system, but they are still relatively expensive. So far, not everybody is using the RFIDs because of the price of those chips, but most likely this is going to be the future and everybody will be using those chips. You can see this is a picture or a photo for an RFID that can be used on, again, the technology devices. Any device that you buy on the box, you will find this item. In addition, you can use it on clothing, on any item that you would like to sell and track. The best about this that you can, once you get it inside the warehouse, it will scan it automatically, so you will know that it's in. Once it's being sold at the cash register or when it ships out of the warehouse, it scans and it's out of the system. So the in and out of the system will be easy through the RFID readers that will be at the receiving and at the shipping stations. The outbound activities include packing and shipping. The primary task for packing is to minimize damage that could occur after an item has left the production line. In the warehouse, the item is subject to a variety of situations where damage could occur. The shipping activity will include confirmation, invoicing, sealing, staging, and loading. So during packing, forklift can drop material. Items may fall from a conveyor belt or fall from broken pallets. Packing must be designed to protect the item from damage, but light enough not to increase the weight of the box, which will increase shipping costs. That's why they use foam, they use the bubble, they use other stuff to pack the items and protect the items in a box. In addition, packing must protect the item from environmental damage, such as extreme temperature or water damage, humidity. So you will see these kind of bags that will protect from humidity and also from contamination with other goods or damage from static electricity, especially for electronic devices. That's why you see some of the hard drives or RAMs or video cards are saved inside an anti-static bag to protect them from any electricity or static electricity that will surround them. Um, Confirmation means making sure that we are shipping the right product um, and the correct quantity with great condition and in time. Invoicing will include order or invoice receipt with the shipped item. In some cases, it's called the packing slip. And then sealing is making sure that the box pallet is sealed properly. Usually they will not only seal the box but also put the boxes on a pallet like this, and as you can see it's being wrapped tightly to make sure that nothing will fall from that pallet. Staging is putting the packed boxes or pallets at the location where the item are ready to be loaded onto a shipping vehicle, and that's where you see staging. This is the staging area, and all these pallets are ready to be shipped. And loading is the process of putting the packed boxes or pallets in the transportation method assigned for transporting these items, whether a truck or a ship or a plane. Usually, even if it's an aeroplane, usually it will be moved into a truck and then will be sent. So most likely it will be a combination of transportation methods, not only one method. So that will be all for this session. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you and have a great day.